1, 2, 3, 4, and you use it always, and the order is like that. It's the same. You maybe can make it to the procedure. So the procedure cohesion is you have to follow the order.
Okay, so here seems that we need to follow. No, we knew this, and then we read all file from disk, and then conduct the
Yes.
following. So series, right?
Yes.
And here, okay, it says if we follow the procedure. What do you think that's if, right? Can we separate that?
Separate.
Single it out.
You mean load this code?
We change procedure.
Oh, yes, you can.
How?
How?
It means we input this. It's not like I don't think it's difficult. Coding. Can we improve it? It's a similar concept, right? Improve is a similar concept. But you see that, look at this, right? Is it necessary to follow the order? So ask yourself, is it necessary to follow the order? Procedure, suppose that, we conduct that one by one, right? Look at the code. What do you think about that? Is it necessary? Follow the order. And here, look at that. If we wanted to, so for example, here, we ask store manager, right, to read all file from disk. Read all file from disk. Next step, scan all file for new lines. The third, scan all file for white spaces. So it doesn't matter. We scan all file for white spaces, and no, it's matter that we put it before new line. Whatever, no. I can change that because not because we scanned for new lines and then we can do the next. So you get no reason not to do that. So one of that is to look at the code. Not necessary, right? And that probably we would put more dots. So except for that, how can we make better? Reusable research? Could be easy.
Since we can replace the order is not strict, so I think we can take the different function, take it all out, and turn it into a function cohesion. That's what I think, because it is not needed to put it into like an order because it is not a secret shop. We don't have to. Uh, it is not needed to from the function one input and send it into function one output and set it into
Mm-hmm.
second function input. It is not in the procedure cohesion. It is not necessary to follow the order strictly. So what I think is it
Yeah.
maybe can turn into function,
Yeah.
functional
Yeah.
cohesion.
So I said this similar, right?
Mm.
So here, procedure, you can look at a procedure, part of that, you don't need to have the order, right?
Yes.
And we put it, we wanted to enhance performance, all right? I need to follow the order. We presume that that is the best one. So it said ensure particular order of execution. But when we look at the code, not necessary, And part of that can, execute that separately. So it means that we can change that, all right? Then functional, all right? Or part of that probably that is, before and after, and part of that becomes sequential, but that's right. So if I give you the code, right, it says import bets, can we import bets and look at the code and think that is necessary for the order, then make improvement, make it improve. So that is the way. And let's see. Lots of that's just to review it. Okay, let's take a break. proceed. Okay. So next, so going to review OCL, because I know that TA has already introduced this part, so I'm going to review it. So Ian, what is OCL? Yeah, TA has already described this part. You go to the tutor at time Wednesday? Why not? Oh. Nora, what is OCL? You go to tutor. I heard that Jack has already introduced this part, right? It's already, so I'm going to review this. So, what is OCL? Did you go to tutor time Wednesday? Wednesday? Wednesday evening? Did you go to tutor? You understand English? Katie, is OCL a programming language? Ray, is OCL a programming language? What is OCL? It is not a programming language. What is OCL? Use microphone.
是要扩展 UI 内容，所以设计的一个东西。
Here, we have three important concepts of OCL, right? So, what are the constraints? Right. So, if we wanted to set a constraint, so tell me the three important concepts of constraint.
非图形化，它是文字，它不是图形。
Yeah, and tell me three important, like invariant. See, three. What are the three?
Pre-condition, post-condition,
Invariant. All right. Invariance, precondition, postcondition. Okay. And what is invariance? What is that?
must always be true for all instances.
Give me an example.
Give me an example. Not really.
Amber, what is invariance? Tina, what is invariant?
Invariant is它是你在这个整个 class 在运行当中，它必须会遵守的一件事情。不管是你今天是要先执行一件 class， 它不会是一个前置条件或后置条件。
Okay, so we always you got to follow that.
Yes.
So this be true, right?
Yes.
I will give you that. So we have invariance, precondition, postcondition, right?
Yes.
Which one, is most difficult to set? Which one? More difficult. I said because we have pre, post, invariant. I said, well, most difficult. Invariance pre or post.
I think is post
Post-condition. Post-condition is
Yes.
most difficult to set. Helen, what do you think? Which one? Agree or not agree? Disagree? Which one is most difficult? I say most difficult, but because the impact is quite big. Biggest. Which one? Which one? It's most difficult. So that's Josh. Which one? Invariant, precondition, postcondition. Which one affects more?
I think it's inheritance.
Invariance.
Yes.
The impact of invariance is bigger than the others. Why? Explain it. Why? Can I guess? Why?
I don't know how to describe it.
You guess? Or you think? Or whatever you know it, but you don't know how to explain it? Brian?
No, I guess.
You guess? So you guess? Brian, which one? Why? What do you guess? No. Must follow. Just you agree. Must follow. So impact more than the others.
Yes, it's one reason.
Okay. And so we have invariant, we have precondition and postcondition, right? Invariance always be true. Affects more, right? So when we set invariance always be true, we need to be cautious, careful. Because when we set it true, then everyone need to follow that, right? It is not easy to say always be true, right? Because when you change, the affects loss. So I said it's more difficult. You say, it's easy, I just said it, but it will affect more, right? And now we have precondition and postcondition, right? Alice, can precondition apply to inheritance? No, why not? I guess. Yes or no? Precondition. Can preconditions be applied to inheritance? That means your parents and children. Parent has precondition, the children can. Yes or no? Yes? Of course, yes. Right. Your parent has precondition. Child need to follow that, all right? And the question is, the subclass make it more stricter or looser? Strict. Yeah. Stricter or looser? More strict. So for example, if I said that stricter, you need to, well, you should arrive at home before 8 and before 10 p.m. Which one is more strict? Your parent tell you that you have to, go home before 8 and before 10, all right? Which one you like? You don't understand what I mean? You should go home, no. Marissa, which one is stricter than the other? Yes, microphone, louder. Which one?
Before 8.
Before 8 is stricter, right? So if that's your parents, right? So parents and children, so precondition, subclass should make it stricter or looser, weaker.
Can you say again?
Stricter, your parents that's, right? You should arrive home, right? Go home before 8, all right? And the child, if child wanted to change that, right? The stricter or weaker. What did it say? Is it weaker? Weaker, right? So your parents said, you got to go home by 8, all right? And I don't care, I want to go home by 10. What's the situation? You'll be stamped. So, no, of course not. Not weaker. So when you go home by 6, then your parent will be happy or angry. Then you know it's all right. Straighter, all right. So, yeah, can you follow? So yeah, we can apply that in the inheritance, all right. Let's make it straighter for the subclass. Right, subclass. On the other hand, Michelle, can we apply post conditions in the inheritance? Yes or no? Amy? No. How come we can apply preconditions in inheritance but not post-condition? The result, right? We have precondition and we have post-condition, right? It's then. Okay. Jason, can you follow? Feel sleepy? You feel sleepy? Why? It's so boring. is precondition? Precondition, tell me precondition, postcondition. And invariance. Do you understand that? No. All right. So, okay, let me give you an example. All right. Invariant. I said invariant. If you only pass, score, at least 60. All right. Greater or equal to 60. That's invariance. You got to follow that. All right. That's invariance. So what about if you only to pass precondition? What about precondition? You need to study harder, right? That's the precondition, right? Study hard and use the good method, right? Don't fail the step like that. Precondition. We said the precondition. Don't fall asleep and study hard. And what about a postcondition? Then you got a 70, then you pass, all right? So the result, you can pass, right? But you fall asleep, then your score, it's unlikely, you cross the boundary. That was a result. You fail. Probably. Awake? Still feel sleepy? No. Sure. Any? Stranger. What do you mean? Stranger? I just said 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. You don't understand that? Yango. I'm straighter. So, think about it. That's all right. Straighter. 8 and 10. Think about that. So, ask more or, straighter. I said that's this substitution principle is quite strict, right? Set the limitation. Okay. That's can you follow, Asha? Yes? Okay, and tell me that's postcondition. So I just asked the question, postcondition, can we apply postcondition in inheritance? Can we apply postcondition in inheritance? Can we apply precondition in inheritance? I cannot follow. We go to tutor. 你去客服了吗？什么叫客服？我讲中文他听不懂，讲英文也听不懂。I cannot get it. So you don't understand. Look at me. What's up? You don't understand English. Not a word. 英文一个字都听不懂，大部分都听不懂，大部分都听得懂。Which one? 啊？啊？你有去客服吗？Well, you cannot follow. No, that is pretty sad. That you should ask for help. Right. So like Akita. You understand? Did you go to 你去过客服吗？啊？啊？后来呢？ Because your expression tells me that you cannot follow, right? So some students, your expression tells me I don't get it. But you are college students, you need to find a way to get along with others. And then you can obtain help. Not just sit there and know nothing. That's pretty sad. Facts. Joey, what is post-condition? Post-condition? Do you understand English? Yes, an answer. Post-condition? When I ask question, don't keep silent. It's not a good attitude. No. You said you understand English and then keep silent. It's not good at all. That is post-condition. Yeah, tell me what is that? What's that?
是你的那个结果要符合他的那个条件。
Give me an example.
« 喂，下次记得去参加一下客服哦。 post condition. Okay. Alright. Post condition. So you can see this line. So you have must be true after the method finished. So, for example, okay. Alright. So I already said this is symbol on the tutor time. So we can see this class is method unit, and it has a method called multiply. So it means a times b is for this method too. So we can see the post condition. It said the result have to be the positive. So we know positive is greater than 0, right? So you have to finish your result has to be greater than 0. So you cannot be lower than 0 and equal 0. So we can see it had if. So if we put a result is lower than 0, so you have to outprint the post condition, the result is not positive. So we can see the we already said the positive have to be positive, but you didn't. So you will outprint this line. But if your result is positive, then do what? So just do the return result. So we can see like if your A is 1 and your B is 2. So A times 2, 1 times 2, it will equal 2, and it is positive. So it will return the 2. So like the other hand, your A become negative 1, and your B is still positive 2. So your positive 1 times 2, it will become negative 2, right? So it's not be the positive. So you will do the post condition, the result is not positive. So this is about the post condition. After you finish the method, you have to 符合 your describe about the post condition.
So Jack describe postcondition, right? Isn't? Now we have precondition and postcondition. Then which one we care most? More. Talking about development.
I think it's precondition.
We care more
More.
on precondition.
Yeah.
Why?
You need to 当这个条件成立了，再去做这个程式，可能会比他做完有的结果会来得重要，我觉得。
That makes sense. And can we apply postcondition in inheritance situation?
因为你说 post condition
Yeah.
在 inheritance 里面，
That means appearance as a postcondition, and the subclass also need to have postcondition.
我觉得应该要。
Okay, like a precondition, all right. Then we were going to strict its or weaken its.
Again, please.
Strict its or weaken its. Street.
哦，
Strict its or weaken its. Postcondition.
post condition 应该是延几
straighter. Make it straighter, right? Yes or no? Orientation, okay. Says post condition can apply to inheritance. Yes. And the subclass, make it straighter or weaker? Subclass, make it straighter or so here, precondition, this is maybe weaken it, but not strengthen. Redefinition, all right. So precondition, it says weaken, but not strengthen. Maybe weakens, but not strengthen. And postcondition said maybe strengthen, but not weakens in the redefinition of an operational subclass. That's different from what I said. Right. So precondition, it says maybe weaken but not strengthen. Postcondition, it says maybe strengthen, right? Strengthen it, but not weakens. Could you explain that? So I said that's precondition, right? Need to come home before 10, before 8. So precondition. You got to say that. Your parents said that. So we should strengthen it or weaken it. And what about postcondition? Strengthen it. It says maybe strengthen it, but not weaken. Is that right? Do you explain that? Sorry. So Ethan, just talk about precondition, right? Precondition, postcondition. Postcondition is strengthen it, right? If we have precondition, right? Precondition, then we set precondition and we don't have time. If we don't have time, enough time, and you're going to focus on precondition or postcondition.
Precondition.
So focus on precondition. And you don't have time, so you don't set postcondition. Why?
I think post-condition is just a result. When you do a method, it will just naturally come out.
Okay, so we focus on precondition if we don't have enough time, right? So yeah, it makes sense. So we care about precondition. And here it says postcondition, it says trigger. Why?
Post-condition, 它就是我觉得它就是一个程式，它的方法执行出来的结果，所以它的答案就在那里了。我觉得。
Yeah. So
所以它
why
可
do
能
you
会比
need
较
to, strengthen, right? Make it strengthen it. And precondition weaken it. What is up?
我觉得如果 precondition 比较松一点，可能在执行方面会比较有比较好执行。
That's a different. No, here you can see that precondition is that can weaken. So here, it's different from what I said. What do you think? Okay, and we can go back. So here, you have to think more about that, right? Precondition. We said the invariance. That is hard, right? Hard to set it. Not because how to set the value, but because the impact, right? A lot of component depends on invariance, then you need to think more, right? So that is the most difficult to set because the impact is broad. Precondition, right? So here, precondition. Then remember when we talk about overloading, right? So overloading, overriding that happens in inheritance. Overloading in a class itself. All right. And here, precondition, postcondition, no. Well, we can take it from the parents. So prior to inheritance. Right? And here, precondition says maybe weakened, but not strengthened in the subclass. So let's see that. That is overriding. All right. So access overridden method should not be more restricted. Assets. So here, if it's a move, right? So the public, then we make it strict. So here, we can, so move the child move, right? If the parents, it's a boy's move, then we set it public. And is that we cannot be more restrictive. So that's overriding, right? Overriding rule. So here, follow that. The same as this, all right? Overridden method should not throw any new exception because, you may get more limited, all right? So this is about a child wanted to override it. And this is the same. And here, so precondition, is that so? That's weakened but not strengthened. Similar. So overriding, we weaken it, not strengthened. And this one, precondition, it says maybe weakened but not strengthened. It's the similar thing, but that is different when I gave you the example, right? What is that? Which one is correct? Follow the statements. They are similar. Right. Going to override it. So override it. So here, think of that. That is parents. All right. We limit the scope from public to protect. And says, no, that's not correct. All right. We are not going to, strict it. So we can say this, broader, so about this. But the real situation, the constraint, right? They said that is similar to that. So precondition, if we set a precondition, then that is sure. Usually, we don't need to use postcondition. I say usually, not always. But here, it says that maybe we can, right? So how can you explain what I gave you the example? A postcondition may be strengthened but not weakened. So here is the a thing that precondition, right, may be weakened. So weaken, here is a weaken. If we weaken it, then post-condition, we need to strengthen it. Right. On the other hand, many situations, precondition, actually we need to strengthen it. If we strengthen it, we don't need to have post-condition. or since we string the post conditions, it says maybe strengthen. Here, you weaken it, then you need to strengthen it. If you keep it the same, right, or not weaken it, you strengthen it, then the results, think about the result. Of course, the results is within the scope, or then the scope may not go beyond that, then you don't need to strengthen your post condition. So think about your design. 这个有 tricky 在里面的，就是根据我们的 overriding subclass， 你不要设得比你的 parent 更严格，但是它的结果是怎么样的？结果可能你不能 control。